we're not. I don't think we're gonna see Moscow getting banned in this game. We might see a Harith. We might see a Gotf catcher as well. Catches two open,
Game
and
pertama
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Uranus it's
Onic
still open.
Indonesia
Gacha Gacha.
versus
Hylos.
Aurora Gaming.
Chu still open.
Yeah, Chow, but Chow will mostly not get banned. Mostly he doesn't get banned because he can be countered. He can be annoying, yes, but he can be countered in a team fight, especially. Since if
Drop the
there is a
venue
team fight
zone.
and they actually gank on
Kill
him,
the
it's
cloud.
it's an easy kill for the enemy team. But as I can see, actually from Onic right now, um, two of the heroes picked are actually damage dealers. Esmeralda is also a damage dealer, but mostly, um, you know, move on into survivability than actually damage. So the fifth ban from Team Aurora is actually Gatot Kacha, which makes it harder, and Khalid as well. All right, very smart bans from both the teams. Right now, I think
Khalid
Dominkai
Gatot
might go for
Kaca
Aurora or
Ruby
Gold Laner
Fanny
because these
Babsya
two
Kaleo.
worlds are the ones missing, and he went for a Hylos. Just like you said, Hylos is open. They will go for Hylos. Right now,
Hylos.
Sans and Kairi from Onyx. Who do you think they will go for? But Kairi, of course, Kairi, Yi Sun-Shin is already picked, so he's gonna choose a gold
Some
laner.
sometimes teams they are choosing two marksmen, and they will play this combo of two marksmen, and others will be a tankies and other things. But for now on, for Onyx, they have Esmeralda, they have Eve and Yusin Shin. Against Hylos, they need to have an announcer for it because they ban Khalid and they ban Gatu Gacha. Harris is open and now Granger and Chu.
Granger and Chow
Granger at Chu and
Granger.
makes a lot of sense, actually. It makes a lot of sense. They're
Chow.
taking risks in that, actually. Onyx, they're very ballsy of them to go for the Granger pick in the gold lane. Um, right now, the Aurora actually might go for another fighter if um, they are kind of like worried about the picks, but they might also go for a gold laner since they have Harith open. So do you think they're gonna go for Harith in that case?
Harris it's a good with Hylos, Lancelot and Labu Labu and Zushin. Because Harris is still open and it can be a perfect with their combo. Because Khalid was perfect for me, but they banned Khalid and they protected because it can continue.
Yeah, yeah, Harith. Harith is the most logical actually pick
Harith.
from Aurora's side. Because if they pick the fighter, it would be a little bit hard for the fighter to reach Granger since he has very high burst damage. So Harith is the perfect choice for this game.
Enak nih Esmeralda.
To be honest, for now on, I have the full picture, but I will go for Aurora gaming Philippines.
Actually for this game, I'm going for Onyx. Although overall I'm actually Aurora, but I'm going for this game. I'm going for Onyx. I
For the
think their
draft
lineup
room.
is their graphics are very nice, very risky, and I like high risk, high reward kind of
Biscuit
style.
for the biscuit.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
all
definitely.
right. Enough from us. The draft is done, the stage is set, and it's finally time for the action. Let's send it over to our casters to bring you game one of Onic Indonesia versus Aurora Gaming PH. Casters, take it away.
Thank you so much to the panel there for breaking it down. It's our last best of three in the semifinals here. And I'll tell you what, it's still me, Naisu, but I'm joined with someone else this time. It's Rockhart joining with me. Rockhart, Onic versus another Aurora, but this one being from the Philippines. Will we see an Aurora versus an Aurora grand finals? We're going to find out in these 3 games, hopefully 3 games, or will Onic be able to get to the grand final spot to face off Aurora from Turkey? We'll find out. Now, one thing I will say, Rockhart, this lineup, these lineups across the board here, is pretty much what we've been seeing for the past maybe 3-4-ish months. And these are some of the most comfort, best picks for these players on both sides.
I actually was gonna say that. Like, this is so comfort. Like, did they even draft? Like, I think everyone just got exactly what they wanted. No questions asked. It feels like Onic is. I actually don't blame it. Our analysts are a little bit split on this one, just because it feels like it's so good for either of
Dapat
it. Either of
siapa?
them. It can go either way.
Dapat Aurora.
Yeah, part of this is, I don't know, if you look at both and what we've seen throughout Games of the Future so far for 2025, it is a whole lot of raw impact, which has always been the case. So if you look at the teams that have had it the most. And these are the teams that really is the Rome pressure. Like Rome, especially Cho, this is keyboard, and he's got his Cho pick. We've seen him do this in many
Nah, kok suara
Rome where he's
komentator
go ahead
kayak
and
gitu
those
ya?
pickoffs. This is a very sent Rome in comparison. For example, if we compare it to Carlos. Carlos is not your Rome. He's mainly utility lay
Trouble
down
ya.
the glorious pathway. Yes, he has a stun, but essentially
Nah.
he's there to go ahead and provide
Nah,
either
nah,
a
ulang
way
lagi.
to follow or disengage or to cut off the opposing team. But the way that Light plays the high a little different too. That's another thing you have to take in consideration. Again, Light being one of the most aggressive roams in professional MLBB. Oh, mid lane.
Oh, that's speaking of aggression, right after getting the real world, they go for the fight, and Sans gets first blood. Of course, Demon Kite gonna not let that go unpunished.
Wah,
Gonna go ahead and get that kill, so it's a 1-for-1.
di awal
And
udah
that's both of
mati
our
guys
mid
kayaknya.
laners. Actually, no, it's Kairi
Yeah.
falling on the other side, so that's gonna slow him down a little bit, man.
Yeah, that's tough. You die early as a jungler. You're gonna have some difficulty, right? But you gotta be able to catch up. YSS is pretty good at doing that, though, even if you have your late start into the transition here. So they're gonna fight for this turtle. There's gonna be no contest for this, as you mentioned, with Kairi going down. So they go for that. Now, part of this too is, again, they forced that fight in the mid, but as soon as those level 4s were available, Aurora Gaming Philippines knew that they had basically an advantage that they could work with. And this is the thing too, you don't see too often the aggressiveness in the gold lane from our previous teams, right? But for example, this is Domenkite and Skylar. Skylar having a massive history of performances throughout Indonesia. Domenkite making a name for himself over the years, and this is the most classic matchup you'll see, a Harith versus a Granger. For a while, people were tired of seeing this. Maybe they still are, and that's why the gold lane has changed up so much lately, where now you can put those fighters in the gold lane, but they're essentially going to be doing the same thing. They want to go ahead and scale into that mid to late game. They both sort of scale around the same timing. Now, if one of them can solo kill each other, which we've seen before, whether that be the Granger or the Harith, then that gives them that little bit of an advantage to work with. But right now, it's basically a stalemate across the map. If you look at, again, the reason why this draft is, we say it's so balanced, not just because of the comfort, but because of the way that the timing plays out for these compositions. They're not going to be crazy action-packed early games like we've seen previously. They're going to mostly fight around, they force something in the mid before the turtle comes up, or it'll be around the turtle fight.
I actually completely agree. I feel like these are both like just so balanced. There's just a little bit of like deviation, like who spikes faster. Sometimes they can spike a little
Ini
bit faster. Some heroes,
Edward
especially like you're talking about the Harris and the Moskov, right? Sorry, it's Harris and the Granger on top side.
bekas
It's actually really good for
apa ya yang
both
aku
of them.
tulis ya?
Sometimes if you can get a
Satu
really
tim
good
sama
catch,
Oheb.
the Harif can just burst down the Grangers, stuff
Blacklist.
like that, right? So, yeah, absolutely. It feels like both of these gold laners are actually very heavily affected by the patch, but very happy to play it. Ooh, lots of understrikes being locked in by Onic. This might be actually a pretty good fight for them. See if that's gonna happen. Luffy is getting a little bit of lantern flare treatment there and gonna get bursted out before even casting anything. Even has the green on his ultimate right now, and that's a second turtle going over to Aurora Gaming here from the Philippines.
It's another pickup. Again, objective plus a kill that they can work with. You know, these being spread out here. Edward? He's gonna get away.
Oh.
Man. Oh, look at that, your boy with the
Mantap.
insurance policy right at the back. Gonna help you catch up if you're Kairi.
I was gonna say, that's essentially what you need to do if you're Onic, you know, and great catch there for Keyboy to be there on time. Great communication from Onic to make that play happen. And, you know, technically throughout the series that we've seen here at Rockhart for Aurora Gaming Philippines, it's usually Edward getting, you know, having trouble in the early game where he's focused on, he might get some early deaths, but he always makes up for it. Like, that's one of the things about why he's called Mr. Consistent and all his other acronyms that he has for his names for him, because he has that potential to be able to do this. Is Luffy gonna have some trouble here? He is an Esmeralda, he's gonna get dragged.
Oh man, look at that. Lutfi has more sustainability now. It's like a 1v2. Oh, off-cam kill there for Edward, by the way. They're taking a lot of pressure on the mid and taking out Light with them as well. Of course, Lutfi is going to be the sacrificial lamb for that, but it feels like it's very worth, especially for Onic.
Yeah, see, Onic is starting to at least find these little wins. These little wins across the map, they're starting to go ahead and shift the momentum, which they need to do. Again, when you lose in the jungle, you lose your jungler early on, I should say. You kind of have to go ahead and cover the other lanes, the other grounds here. They might actually potentially, if they can take the third turtle once it's up, that's the best thing for Onic, because right now Aurora Gaming is, especially with getting the first tier 1 turret down, maintaining a bit of a lead. Now, this lineup, like I said, for Onic is essentially still capable of getting that numbers advantage just by playing around Keyboy. And so, hovering around this mid lane, they want to go ahead and clear it. Light's going to go ahead and go for it. Oh, okay, he actually disengages. Thought he was going to drop the Glorious Pathway down, but this fight for the third turtle, half health.
They're actually holding on to their ultimates very, very well, especially here for Aurora. They're having a lot of ultimates ready for the fight. They get the turtle and they kill very stonks. Aurora Gaming PH, that's 1.8k gold lead for them, and they're not done yet. Nice, so I think they want to keep on going for more. They don't forget they still have that Glorious Pathway. Decides to just play a bit more carefully after that.
It's one of the things you can do. Again, it's positioning, right? Light was in the perfect position. He was right there in that bush. Didn't even really need to do too much. It's just the presence of that Hylos again and having that revitalize you. The difficult part for Onic and their lineup is actually dealing with that. I mean, at some point, Keyboy on the Cho, whether he's able to get a pick off or not, if he gets stunned and stopped in his tracks, you know, he can get low pretty quickly, or he has to burn the flicker. Lutfi as well, man. Lutfi 0-3. Your Esmeralda usually is the one that's kind of, they would say, you know, Esmeralda's kind of unkillable. She's tough to deal with. But when you have this kind of crowd control offered with this lineup from Aurora Gaming, and then that follow through with the amount of damage early game that a Lancelot provides you to an extent too, in the way the Keyboy.
It's a free-man knockup on the G Kundo. Actually,
Nice,
right
Mabar.
close by is Sans. Gonna get lots of kills and some decent DPS despite obviously the Harris being there. They're gonna push back and we're gonna join the fight just a little bit. Looking at actually quite low. I don't think Onic wants to go for this one, and they will not. So pretty good pickoffs happening here for Onic, but again, being traded almost instantly by Aurora that time.
It's always the difficult part about being a Cho player. You know, all the Cho players out there know what it's like. You got to go in, you couldn't do, or set up your kick, and essentially you're kind of sacrificing yourself away, right? You want to go in and get that set up for your team, but you know that it's going to be very difficult to get away, especially if you use the flicker to initiate. But nonetheless, what Onic has been able to do here, Rockhart, is stay within grounds. Like, it's not anything too crazy of a lead that Aurora Gaming has over Onic, which puts them in a position that they can actually contest this Lord if they want to. Skylar is going to go ahead and get that turret down, picks up a Sky Piercer as well. So the scaling here on both sides of the goal laners are going to start to show. Sky Piercer 2 for Yue. There's the kick.
Satu nih,
That's
satu.
what you want to get started here. Light will use the Glorious Pathway to dig out. Edward misses on the land shaker, and actually that might force them to go back. Skylar, look at this guy. He's just going bananas. Throwing bullets left, right, and center, taking down Edward in the process, and now they're pushing Aurora Gaming back. They seem to be the ones who are in control of this Lord Pit.
Yeah, they're going to go with that. And meanwhile, exactly when he got the Sky Piercer, he gets a kill. So they have positioning here, but I think Aurora Gaming wants to go for this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Look at Demon Kite, though. 4 throws just to buy a little bit more time, but not going to be enough for him to go for the steal. Kairi this time has massive control on that turtle, that Lord, and they're going to be able to get that one. Going to be great for taking down those turrets on mid and bottom, get more golds into their pocket.
That is the quickest I feel like I've seen a Lancelot get zoned in on it and taken out. I mean, it was more so of an attempt to like just go for it for Demon Kite to see if he could potentially get in the position to try to retribution steal that away, but Onic played that really, really well. They knew that was going to happen, and they timed it greatly. So now with this, Lord's pushing up top. Onic will go ahead and continue to open up the map. They want to get this mid turret down. It's just a couple hits away, and Aurora Gaming are going to have to just give this one up as they prepare for the tier 2s.
Nice.
Keyboy giving information that
Hancur,
Demon Kite was getting his orange. Now putting the pressure for the purple. They'll take that away. Now let's see. Aurora Gaming, their backs against the wall in this defense for now. They still got the holy shields and everything else. Still going to be fine, but this is where we have to start to see that time that they built up, and now that this favor is for Onic, can Aurora Gaming get a team fight that they're looking for? So far, you see what's happening here, Rockhard. If Light is the one that gets kicked, it kind of messes things up a little bit. You know, you got to give props to Keyboy for being able to get that target acquisition down.
Yeah.
All they're going to get off this is some of those shield defenses being popped. The top one goes down. They still maintain the tier 2 turret in the mid. But again, for Keyboy, that's what is so admirable for the Chos that are able to pull that off. They get the right targets. That kick alone changes that cadence of the fight, and that's why they were able to win that last one that did break out. And this is starting to be an increasingly more of a problem, especially for the Granger. You start getting stacks. Aurora Gaming has to take that into consideration, you know, and just so the team fights that have been breaking out, looking at the items too, even though Lutby had a difficult time in the early game, you know, 3 early deaths, he's essentially tanky enough in a way, especially now that he's got the oracles and the enchanted talisman and he's got the ice shield, that he can actually take some of the damage. Yeah, he's actually a lot tankier just off of those items. And so that's something they have to watch out for. Aurora Gaming, though, they'll be able to clear this out. Light dropping down the glorious pathway once again defensively. But you're seeing what's happening here, Rockhard. They're just kind of cut off from the rest of the map.
That's true. I think that's a big point, right? Like, Light, despite being the tankiest member of Aurora Gaming, actually is not as tanky on his own as Lutby, right? Light needs that glorious pathway to regen the HP. You need that revitalize. So that's all like slowly just regenerating your health. You're not really like built like a rock or anything, right? So if you can catch that, if you can stop the regen before it happens, the Hylos are surprisingly squishy.
Aren't you a Hylos main? Or was?
Yes, I'm speaking from experience.
I was going to say, speaking.
That's exactly what I mean.
Top Philippines, Hylos at one point, right? I mean, I know you have a ton of experience with the Hylos, and that's exactly what we're seeing kind of happen here to Aurora Gaming. They are going to go ahead and get in position for this Lord, though. Again, broken walls, something always to consider in the team fights around here. The poke of the Granger is what that advantage is in comparison to the Harith as well. You can go ahead and fire off some of these shots of the Destinata, keep them at bay. Again, that space for Skylar is so important here too. So they'll go ahead and reset the Lord of Glory. Drop down.
Oh, there you go. That's more proactive right now this time for Aurora Gaming, and now they're chasing Lutby, which will be protected very well by Sans. That real-world manipulation. They're just knowing they can play around that, but look at Edward. He's trying to go for it. Great placing on Landshaker, but he will get taken out. Just not enough DPS right now for Aurora Gaming to make any difference in the team fights, except for Doming Kite. He is definitely the guy who is making it work, at least making sure that Aurora PH can kind of do something in a team fight. But it is still just a massive amount of lead, a massive amount of control for Onic Indonesia.
They're still going to go for this Rockhard. They're trying to get an opening here. Oh. They tried. Doming Kite was swinging around. The Kite brothers were trying to make something happen. Because again, that last team fight, man, this is some of the most, this is some of the highest level of MLBB, right? You saw how many battle spells were used, the flickers to avoid Edward, for example, when he went in with the Landshaker to get that stun off. If he would have gotten the stun off with the Landshaker, then it would have been a completely different team fight. But because of, again, great usage, great timing from Onic to avoid that, then they reinitiated after taking out Light, gives them that advantage. So a whole lot of resources used up. The Lord's going to charge into this top base turret. We'll see, it is going to be cleared out rather quickly, though, because once again, these lineups are so balanced across the board for this game one. And you're seeing that. So Onic, they'll have to go ahead and decide, can we go ahead and get a base turret down? They still have these waves to deal with, but at best, they might get one base turret. RWM drop down.
well, that's if they can actually win this team fight, which look like they're going to be able to take out Sans. Aurora Gaming definitely going to do great with that -1, but look at Lutfi. He's
40.
diving in on the middle of that pack and doing some decent damage, pushing back Aurora Gaming. I mean, they look like they had some momentum, but again, a great pushback from that Esmeralda.
Yeah, it's actually pretty impressive though. Aurora Gaming holding on with that push. It doesn't really matter that they're down 4,000 gold. Like, that's what I'm saying with these lineups. It's more so of a chess game when it comes to these team fights and that execution factor. You know, even with that lead that Onic has, it's not so easy for them to actually strong arm Aurora Gaming Philippines with this. Edward does pick up he just recently picked up a Chastised Pauldron. That item actually does really well against certain marksmen. You can see this too, even defensively. Light, he's dealt with this all game, man. But finally, you know, he's got 3 core defensive items locked in: the Dom, Ice, Anti-Crass, Radiant Armor here too, to kind of help with the amount of damage that's coming out from Sands. You saw it from the last fight. He's already got his Divine Glaive too. So I'm assuming he's still going to be going even more magic damage here too on this Eve. I don't know if he wants to even get any defensiveness for Sands just yet, because he hasn't really dealt with that pressure. Like, he's just kind of relying on the flicker, and he's pumping out the damage. Meanwhile, Skylar is as well. Fighting into the real world manipulation is the best thing that Onic has right now for them, and it's allowing that space to be there. So it's a chess match, you know, and 20 seconds for this Lord to come up. Aurora Gaming, they'll most likely contest it. They will not let any of this just go by. This is a little bit more difficult, once again, for Onic. The tankier Light gets, and Edward, it doesn't have to all just fall onto Light's hands now. Like, Edward can be the one to go ahead and kind of start these fights up like we saw him previously. And you never know, if he goes and gets in that stun and it lands this time, that might change that course of the fight. Immortality is picked up here by Keyboy too. Once again, giving a little bit of that extra time that he might need to escape after setting up the Way of the Dragon, the kick. So this positioning is super important here. Neither team's probably going to fully commit to this unless they catch someone out. A beacon used though from Yue, so that not being available actually is very helpful for Onic. The Lord evolves now at the 18-minute mark.
Yeah,
So a little
few seconds
difficult, a little difficult to take.
So you're absolutely right. Again, it's all about whether or not Aurora can actually tank.
Aduh, ini bahaya sih,
As
lanjut
time is
level
progressing,
15.
they actually might be able to, but here comes that big fight we're talking about.
Nice,
They're diving
40
straight
ya.
into the back line, and that's going to be the
50 ya.
Joker for Aurora Gaming removed already. And now it's a 4v5, and they are going to have to
Aduh,
run,
dapat.
make a run for the hills if they want to survive. And they're going to be able to take out
60,
Lutfi, but looks like all that's going to be left on the field is going to be
80.
Dominic Kai. It's 1v3.
Aduh, nggak
It's
dapat.
only a Harif. What are you going to do? You got a big wave on the
Cuman dapat
middle, and I
60.
think that's exactly what Onic is just going to capitalize. No need to go for the Lord this time around. 24 seconds on the
Yang
death
bisa
time
sih
is
nih,
the
enak soalnya.
earliest. That
Tanpa lot.
feels like game.
Onic winning that fight around the real world manipulation, exactly what I was talking about, would be the hard thing for Aurora Gaming Philippines to get through. Skylar had all of the space in the world to fire off from the back lines, and they collapsed on Aurora Gaming Philippines. They knew the time was coming, so Aurora just kind of decided, you know what, maybe we go for the attempt. And even the Lancelot for Demon Kair just wasn't enough to be able to survive this. You know, it was just a hard-fought victory, though, for Onic. Again, they had to go ahead and get themselves back in this game after Kairi went down early on, and they held on. They worked as a team. Like, the synergy was amazing here. So let's go ahead and throw this over back to the panel to break down our game one.
Everyone, game one is in the books, and it is Onic Indonesia who strike first and take the 1-0 lead here at Games of the Future Abu Dhabi 2025. Strong start, sharp execution, and a clear message sent early in this series. This is a statement win from Onic. Soldier?
To be honest, Onic, they surprised us, and they said it's easy to play against us, but in the late game, we will show you another face. Because Onic, they know how to deal in the late game, mid game, and they let the tempo become late for them, for their team, and to grab all their strength and put it in one hand and directly to the base and directly to the team Aurora Gaming.
That's right. They showed confidence from the draft, clarity in their rotations.
Kita
They
lanjut
didn't
guys.
rush.
Game kedua.
This wasn't messy. It was calculated for them.
Kita
Yes,
lanjut
that is
game
very
kedua
true.
guys ya. Ntar.
And Yuzong is banned right now. And the last ban from
Kita lanjut
Onic
game kedua.
might
Langsung
be
aja lah.
another fighter
Tanpa
or
potong-potong.
Aurora.
Solution out, Yuzong. Still Basha open.
Fanny di band. Yisun Sin Yujong. Jusin Grok.
Kunivir. Harith. There is a lot of things open, but until now, for the first phase of the bans,
Among the planes exists.
Actually,
Eve,
actually
the
expected
ban.
Eve as a ban because then Lancelot is open right now and Basha is open right now. Who is Aurora going to pick? That is the question right now because these two junglers are top meta junglers. They are stuck in a situation right now, Aurora, because they need to sacrifice one of the picks.
until now, they sacrificed Eve pick for Onic. Like Onic, they banned Eve, but I think they will go for another one. They have Lunux, they have Farsa. It's still open.
Yeah, but still, now we're in the pick phase, so
Oh,
they
Lancelot.
picked Lancelot. So they are actually Onic
Ini
might go for
Aurora
Basha, or
juga
they
tim
might
juara,
please
guys.
surprise us with a new jungler pick.
Basha open. Still, see.
Imbang-imbang
if
sih
Basha
sama
open,
Onyx sama
I think
TLPH.
Aurora they have an answer.
Sama
Because they let
Onyx
it open
PH juga.
and they are comfortable to play against him. Like if they pick it, we have a secret pick, we have a pocket pick. No one will predict it.
We will see about that actually. So we're waiting for Skylar and Keyboard right now to go for their picks. Not necessarily going to pick a jungle right now. They might keep it for the third pick, and they went for Kimmy as a mid laner.
Kimmy,
And of
hero
course,
power
Basha.
sun.
They just went for Basha immediately. Didn't care about
Wah, Kumar.
getting countered. They said we're gonna take it anyways. I know we'll do great with Basha, but on the other hand, we might see a Farsa and a Lapu Lapu in
Expanding Reaper.
second and third pick for Team Aurora, or do they have another saying in that case?
Picking Farsa and Lapu Lapu with Lancelot, it's recommended for Team Aurora. To win, but let's say, but for Team Onyx, picking Kimmy
Farsa Lancelot lah pula.
and Esmeralda for 3 picks. Like it's
Esmeralda.
reply to Esmeralda versus Lapu Lapu
Lagi-lagi
and
Skylar
Basha as a jungler
Esmeralda
versus Lancelot.
atau si Lutfi.
And for Farsa, I need to see because using band and they picked Farsa for it. It's perfect for them. And Eve it's banned, but they played just last game with Onic.
Yeah.
They banned Eve.
Yes, that is very true. Right now we are in the second ban phase. We still have lots of heroes that might get banned, like Gadget Catcha, like Ruby, like Xborg. We have Harith also open as a gold laner because none of the teams picked a gold laner yet. They went for a carry. That means they might actually go for kind of a tanky team, mostly a tanky team, or they might be tricking them, giving them an idea that they're going tanky, but they will go for
Kairi ya,
burst damage. We are waiting for that. Wow, a Hellcurt ban. This is the first time we see Hellcurt getting banned.
This is target ban.
This is a
Absolutely.
target ban for sure. They felt like Kairi might actually, no, actually it's not, because
Sans.
I would say Hellcurt is mostly used as a jungler, So I'm surprised, why did they go for Hellcurt? Did actually Onyx think of going for for example, a gold laner
satu mata
Hellcurt
keyboard dah.
or a
Sama dah.
roamer Hellcurt? I doubt it, but you know, of course Aurora understands this more than I do, than both of us, you know.
Kena
So
cahaya
they've done their homework, they know
radiasi
who
nih.
might they go for. But in the last ban phase, we're waiting for the last ban from Kairi. He went for Moskov. Maybe that's why actually
Moskov.
they actually went for a Hellcurt ban, because they wanted to go for Moskov. And Onyx understood that trick, so they banned him in the process as well. So they won't give a chance to Aurora to go for Moskov. Very smart. But still, we have actually Claude and we have Harith in the gold lane. So will Light from Aurora ban any of these two, or will he go for a different ban? We will see.
Jam
I
berapa?
want to see Harith in the game as last game. Also, Khalid
Setengah
is open,
11 ya.
but as a Moscow, it's getting banned. Aurora have a less chance, but still, I want to see from Cloyd is it's banned the last
Cloud,
ban for the blue side. For
Cloud
red
di
side, I want to see
ban.
Sans and Carry because they bind Carry and might they will go for a tanky build, a tanky team, and Aurora they will have the counter for this. They are ready to it.
We might actually see a Terizla in that game. We might see a physical damage hero because it won't make any sense for Onic to go for a Harith pick because that's 4 magical damage, and that's a lot of magical damage for a single team. I don't think they're gonna do that. They're gonna go for a physical hero. Ranger is such a great pick, of course, for a gold laner. We are still waiting
Granger.
for a roamer. It might be
Masih
who
enak
do you think
Granger
might be a
sih.
roamer? Chow?
Masih enak.
Did we go
We
for
have
the
Chow,
easy
yeah.
Chow?
Chow, Chow as a roamer in the tanky build. It's really good. Chow,
They actually Aurora.
Chow as a roamer.
Yeah, actually Aurora took Chow. I thought Onic would go for them, but I think um, Aurora might actually go for Chow, or they might go for another gold
Chow
laner.
and CC. Let's see.
That is very
Aurora?
interesting, actually. That is very, very,
The
very
draft.
interesting.
For Aurora until now, if they pick CC and Chow,
That would be great. Yeah,
CC
that would be great.
and hovering on Chow, still thinking.
Cici.
Oh, okay.
They went for a
Now
Chow.
the continue
Chow.
completed of the puzzle,
Yeah.
and I like Lancelot and Chow, CC, Lapu Lapu, Farsa, as Kalia, Onic. Wow.
Kale.
See,
What do you think
oh wow.
for Onic? Onic draft.
Another,
Onic draft is very
another next
amazing.
yes.
I mean, I would say mid to high damage
Another
output.
next.
For Aurora, they have more burst damage. They have more sustainability as well. This is not going to be an easy game for both. Um,
It's a close draft for both.
it's a high skill game actually for both teams. It's going to be a very, very, very high skill game for both teams. Any mistake is not going to be forgivable.
I want to see Aurora how they will like focus on their macros.
Dari SME-nya aja
We'll see
udah
about
ada
All
dapat
right,
dia
the
dari
tension is
laki-laki sama
rising
cowok.
here, and the series could be decided right here, right now. Let's send it over to our casters to bring you game 2 of Onic Indonesia versus Aurora Gaming PH. This could be the game that sends us to the grand finals.
Ini kok mirip
Casters,
Indo ya?
take it away.
Thank you again, panel, for breaking it down. Here we are, game 2. And this time around, we're going to find out if they can even out the series here for Aurora Gaming Philippines to get to a game 3. Honestly, Rock Hard, that's how we want it. You know, we want these semifinal matches to go the distance. They've got the lineup to be able to do it. I feel like there was some good adjustments here for Aurora. One being the fact that, you know, they went with their own pickoff potential that could potentially snowball them into the right direction. Demon Kite really struggled in the previous game on the Lancelot. Now this time he's up against a utility jungler. We do still see that occasionally, right? Assassin versus utility. And sometimes the assassin gets the upper hand, sometimes it's the utility, based around this kind of holistic composition that Onic brought. So we'll see if Aurora can actually make some early advantage by potentially getting her first blood.
That's true, because it is going to be double marksman basically versus double fighter, right? So this is something that is going to be, I don't know, maybe meta shift creating, depending on how well either one performs. We'll see maybe if, you know, double fighter actually is the way to go, right? Or maybe we'll see if, you know, having a Granger and a Kimi on your lineup actually makes it so difficult for these double fighters to perform. So those are things I'm actually looking forward to in this matchup. And so you're absolutely right. Like, so much is just up in the air for this game. And again, Aurora Gaming has that little bit of an early advantage maybe, but it's not much.
Yeah, not much to deal with. Part of it, though, is like this lineup, you know, for the most part, yes, it's Edward on the Lapu Lapu again. It's a Demon Kite on the Lancelot. Even if they run it back for some of these heroes, it's more so just getting that upper hand. You have to give it up to Onic in the last game. They were just really good at the team fighting, really good at finding the right moments to avoid that setup potential, even from Edward on the Lapu Lapu. We always know that when the Lapu Lapu is secured for a team, not only does he do a lot of damage, he can tank up quite a bit, but the stuns with the Land Shaker are so good, just like this.
Nice, dapat kairi guys.
Great stuns. There you go, Kairi with the first turtle of the game. Edward
Kok dia
and Light not been able to help out
kecepatan
Demon
ya?
Kite as much. Look at the presence. Look at the domination of Onic in that one.
Yeah, there's they're gonna deal with that. I mean, that's one of the things they have to be careful for. Some of these initiations, especially in the early portion of the game, you gotta kind of approach them in the right way, and even more so in the turtle pits. You know, like those areas are crucial to be fighting in. Now, this map being potentially the last map, if Onic wins with it, expanding rivers. Either way, when it comes down to these objectives, either team can choose to rotate really quickly. The fact that Dominkite is on a CC gold lane as well could change some of those later team fights, whereas, you know, Skylar essentially can do the same thing. It's only unfortunate for Skylar that he doesn't have the space that was provided with an Eve, like in game one, but because of the lineup, it's actually okay. You have a Kalea, you have the traction pulse from Sans, and that actually is enough to go ahead and keep him relatively safe. Plus, like I said, the flicker is always an option as well.
I think maybe they're thinking, you know what, we don't need like an Eve real world if we're gonna -1 anyway, right? Like there's just gonna be 4 enemies on the opponent on the map. So as they're thinking maybe of the Kalea, but look at that, Luffy again is gonna be the sore spot here. That Aurora Gaming is gonna try to punch on, or you know, but of course that isn't Esmeralda's early game has great sustainability, and who has not that much sustainability, that's Dominkite, especially against 4 members of Onic.
See, that's a tough thing, you know. These lineups nearly mirror each other with the game plan. It's that pick-off centric lineup. Let's get a kill, utilizing either the Cho for Aurora or the Kalea here for Onic, and they get the upper hand because they made the play up top, almost getting this tier 1-2. Traction pulse thrown out.
A few more hits would actually been huge for Sans there, but Uweg is able to dodge out. Again, Edward gonna be using the Bravest Fighter and the Flicker to get out of harm's way, which just leaves the map wide open for Onic to take that turtle.
Man, Rockhart, it just seems like right now it's either Aurora Gaming Philippines is just not synced up like we've seen them in the previous matches, or it's just Onic playing so well. It's probably a combination of both. Onic seems to be just completely locked in on the game plan on what they want to do here. And again, if they're able to go ahead and put pressure where Aurora can't play around that plan of a pick-off, because the Tsunami Slam is going to go first.
Man, there you go, that's Tsunami Slam once more. At that point, Dominkite can't even use the Phantom Execution to get out of harm's way. And because of that, this is going to be another turret. That's going to be, turret rather. That's going to be so hard to defend against. Now, of course, there has to be something to give Aurora. Skylar really absorbing some of Dominkite's hits, buying some time for Kairi to get back into the fight here. Alongside Kiboy, that aggression of this duo, this Kalea and this Baksha, so nasty.
Kiboy is so locked into the series. There's the kick, though.
Nice kick from Light. Obviously going to get some kills back, and that is Hans. So Sans going down is going to be so massive here for Aurora Gaming, and slowing down that Kimmy. That Kimmy felt like it was actually starting to like steamroller them, man.
Yeah, it's a problem they have to deal with, but nonetheless, right now it's just Onic is just winning off Keyboy's Kalea. For the most part, it's all been the Tsunami Slam, so now Light's got to go ahead and fill that in. He's done as well. He's got actually a couple kills on this, but it's more so the way they're moving around the map. There's got to be an answer for this, especially as they set up around this next turtle coming up in a couple seconds here. You're seeing it. Demon Kite's going to get spotted out. He's actually having a difficult time this game, just like in game one. Really getting pressured on his jungle, potentially to try to force him to use a retribution on the purple buff, so he doesn't have it for the turtle, but still he'll be able to secure this just fine. Onic waits in positioning. Again,
Udah
same
drop
thing.
loh.
Loopy giving information. Keyboy waiting for that Tsunami Slam. So we'll see how Aurora approaches this. This 3,000 gold difference
Apa?
might play a part into this fight. But Turtle secured.
Yeah, huge, tricky turtle there, getting secured there by Onic. There goes that team fight light. Not gonna be long for that world. Cannot really sustain Skylar's Granger right now. Was just doing insane amounts of damage, even on Edward. That's a double kill for the gold laner of Onic. And not to mention, they also got that turtle. Demon Kite now gonna be struggling to even get the jungle camps on his side.
Let's see if he gets this orange. He should be able to retreat. Oh, he doesn't get it. Unfortunately, yeah, he doesn't get it, and it's looking even more grim now for Aurora Gaming Philippines here. The way this game is going, 3 turtles now in the hands of Onic, 5,000 up in terms of gold. They have a clear shot at taking the first Lord as well, unless somehow, some way, Aurora finds a way to crawl back into this game. But look at the pressure from Onic. They won't let up on this. And it's, you know, it's a stark difference, at least for the Esmeralda this time, when you see the Esmeralda struggle, but when you see it shine like this, and you're able to go ahead, you know, you're deathless, you provide information, a Tsunami Slam again.
Oh man, that's a huge Tsunami Slam here. Of course, Yue gonna be able to at least answer with the Feather Airstrike. That front line is starting to demolish and diminish on its health. That's Kiboy going down though. Demon Kites are doing some really good mechanics, but the rest of Onic are still inside the front lines. They're not really going back quite yet, but it is gonna be -1. Kiboy's aggression removed from the map might leave an opening for Aurora to make something happen here.
That pick-off is great. At least they get a kill. You know, it was a fight that was started off the Tsunami Slam. One of the first steps that Aurora needs to get back into the game. But even looking at the itemization here, there's quite a bit of difference, right? Even the gold lane right now, obviously the CC is going to scale up a lot slower than this Granger with given the way the game's gone. But, you know, you Sky Pierce, Malefic Roar, Hunter Strike already. That's why Skylar's popping off on the damage. He's got the 4 kills. If he continues to stack up the Sky Piercer, it's going to be devastating in these later fights. And so for Aurora, as this Lord is up, they have to make a decision. Do we actually contest this? This is one of the difficult things too in that matchup of Assassin versus Utility, right? The Baksha, obviously tankier. You rely on the rest of your team to kind of, again, give you that information. You can always pull off a steal though. That's one of the things about the Assassins, right? Especially the Lancelot. There's always potential for that. So even with Onyx lead, they'll respect it and just kind of take their time with this. There's no rush for them. But Aurora, they're the ones with a hard decision. Do we actually go for this? It's Blitz down now.
Yeah, that's a huge blitz. Obviously, Onic is just going to be so far ahead of the curve here. Lapu Lapu up on front. Edward can't really sustain against that lineup. Now, normally, you would be able to at least get some back, but Onyx just stopping that from happening, obviously with their superiority in terms of items. So, right now, it's just Aurora getting pushed back over and over again. I mean, like, the only thing I was thinking about for Onyx is at least both Kairi and Demon Kite were level 12 while that Lord was happening. But now that's not going to be the case here. We got Lord walking up on top, and I expect Onyx to wait for this fully 100% wait for it before they fight.
I'm surprised here, Rockhard, that Aurora decided to go ahead and stay around there because it just seemed like, and maybe it was potentially they just didn't have the information, but seemed disconnected even in that approach to that Lord or deciding on what they wanted to do. They're going to go for this kick.
Oh yeah, 100% gonna go for it. Better stun here coming in from Edward, but again, once more just evaporating forth. They can even get the final blow of that one. And now Kairi's up on front. Skylar is just going on like a shooting range here or something, because he's just having so much fun on that Granger. Again, there is a Lord on top side. Edwards and Light are down for 15 seconds. That might be a turret or 2 going down for Onic here. Sorry, for Aurora here.
So far, massive game for Skylar. On this Granger, 7-0-1, untouchable. Stacks on stacks right now for the Sky Piercer 2. This Lord will finally go down, but Onyx's job is just to get these base turrets down of Aurora. We'll see if they're able to get another one, but right now with a massive lead, 10,000 ahead, do they force a fight or just take the discipline route? It looks like they'll go ahead and do just that. Potentially getting the mid turret. The traction pulse is thrown out.
Diangkat tuh ya.
Yep. go. One more time. They're going to try to go for it again. Aurora being very proactive here on the front line, though. They're absorbing Sans and Skylar's damage, and it's just too much. There's just so much damage here without anything to
Satu lagi
actually
sih,
catch
80
it
max.
on the front line. And there you go. That's 2 inhibitor turrets going down for Aurora Gaming here again, holding on for dear life.
They've been choked out from the resources here, basically here, Rockhart. Now they're going to make a play here in the mid, going for this last base turret. They'll get just that. But with Dominkite coming back up, it looks like they're just going to go ahead and get back here. Lutfi has been a nuisance this whole time. He has been the scout for Onic, giving all the information that they need on how they approach these fights. Again, this is what Esmeralda does so well. And, you know, in this case, I don't know, Rockhart, it just seems like the lineup, the composition for Aurora just isn't serving that purpose that they wanted to. Even so, you know, Dominkite picks up a brute force. You're seeing how fast they're getting just taken down. I mean, these team fights, if it's a pick-off, it's a pick-off for Onic, essentially. At what point does Aurora Gaming get back into a fighting form? They're going to have to forfeit this Lord over to Onic and then just get ready for this defense. Now, the only shining hope in this lineup that they have right now is the defense capability, because you've got a Farsa. But as soon as you use that Feather Airstrike to kind of deal with some of that push, and of course the Lancelot to an extent, then other than that, you don't have that much else, right? You've kind of got to utilize the kits, and that's for Edward and to an extent Light and Dominkite to clear out these waves and manage them. But it's so difficult once the Feathered Airstrike is gone. So this is so crucial for Yue to really get the most of value out of this, and that's why they're trying to manage these waves. The Lord is making its way in the base, and the traction ball's thrown out.
Yeah, throwing it out there, and there's just not much the front line here. Gonna go in for the back line. Light is hunting down Skylar, but with that Purify will not be able to actually make a mark. Just a few more hits. That might be it. Onic are gonna be the ones on top here, and gonna be beating out Aurora Gaming PH 2-0.
You can see Kairi excited about that one. A let's go after they win it. Onic just looking so good here. I mean, this was probably some of the cleanest that we've seen them play, at least here for the Games of the Future. And it was just very one-sided. This one was completely their game, their control. Skylar unstoppable, man. Unkillable. Stacks on the Sky Piercer. And it's just, you know, it's tough to see for Aurora Gaming Philippines. There was really not many opportunities for them to get back into that game, and that could have been a combination of the composition they had, but it just seemed like there was some disconnection there, you know, as a whole. So that's going to be it for them in the Games of Future, though. Aurora Gaming, we won't have an Aurora versus Aurora Grand Finals, but they still will have their third place decider match that we'll be having tomorrow before the Grand Finals. But as you see, Onic going over the sportsmanship. We're going to be throwing it over on stage to hear from Onic Esports from Indonesia. Once again, amazing match. That's it for us. Let's go ahead and throw it on stage.
2025 Abu Dhabi.